Welcome to Purposeful Transitions. My name is Erica Bryan. The intention behind Purposeful Transitions is to bring a pause and cultivate awareness to the moments we can easily dismiss in our lives, which are the moments in between moments. I call this a transitional space. Over my 10 years in the medical field and as a yoga teacher, I have often seen all professionals rush into the next moments of their journey, bringing in the residue from their past experiences. Join me as we learn ways to enhance a deeper understanding of our transitions, allowing purposeful transitions to strengthen self-awareness, relationships, our own contributions, and tapping into the field of possibilities. Hello everyone, this is Erica Bryan. Welcome to Purposeful Transitions. It's an honor to be here with Christopher A. Boozer.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, thank you. Christopher A. Boozer is an amazing man in the community. He contributes to so much. I feel like he's an advocate for so many of the things that we can have a tendency to have a challenge with. So like, for example, suicide, justice. There's just so much. So I hope that this episode will bring you some inspiration to also see where you can help or maybe even reach out to Christopher to heal. You know, Christopher has a wide variety of experiences and healings that he has come across. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's ground ourselves with breath. You see how excited we get?
Yeah. The breathing. That's
the
right.
breathing. Remember, we were talking about, like, did you meditate? Did you meditate?
Absolutely.
Did you breathe? All right. So let's go ahead and just ground ourselves. Of course, if you're driving or operating any kind of machinery that is requiring your attention, I encourage you to either pull over, take a pause in a safe space. Of course, this is not something that we would encourage to do during those activities. So definitely, if you are able to take that space to pause and breathe, we're gonna gently close our eyes, feet grounded onto the earth. And we're just going to take a few cycles of breath, breathing in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, releasing a gentle sigh. Good. A couple more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Then we shift the breath, breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. With every inhale, we allow the breath to become deeper, and every exhale to be complete. Just a few more cycles like that, embracing a deeper breath. Nice job. When you're ready, check in with your body. Allow your eyes to gently float open. Notice how you feel. Pretty cool, right?
That's amazing.
The power of the breath.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, how are you feeling mentally, physically, and spiritually?
Mentally, I'm feeling present.
Yes.
Physically, I'm feeling relaxed. And spiritually, grateful and excited.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's a good space to be.
I agree.
All right, so third question is, how did we meet?
Well, we met through my lovely wife.
Yeah, on the street in Phoenix, where I threatened you.
Exactly, right. Treat her right or else.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that was our first encounter.
Yeah, you're like, no, I was so serious. Yeah. I was like, man, everyone is threatening me behind this lady. She must be amazing.
She really is.
Absolutely.
She really is. And I would say I don't have very many close friends, but the ones that I am friends with, I'm very, in a way, protective.
Of
Or
course.
just, yeah. So if you are part of my tribe,
Yes.
like, I got your back.
Oh, absolutely.
And you too, because you are part of this tribe now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She and I are one, and the way she looks at you with such honor and appreciation and respect, I'm grateful for it, because I know how rare it is to find someone that you can resonate with completely, where you don't have to hide parts of yourself. You can say, hey, this is all of me. Oh, you accept and love all of me?
Yeah.
Wow. So.
And I don't have to change anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I can just be myself.
Yeah. Or conforms to that way you see me the way I think you need to see me.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's been a beautiful relationship.
Absolutely.
All right. So how did you feel that moment on the street after you received the threat? How did you feel in that season of your life when we met?
I really have felt guided since November 23rd, 2009. That's when I put a gun to my head to take my life. And people say, oh, I heard voices. No, I actually did hear, whether it came internally, if it was audible. I couldn't tell you, but I was directed to take steps that seemed crazy, but they all worked so beautifully.
Yeah.
So from that point, even though it was scary, I said, I'm going to follow it. I've tried to do things my way, figuring it out, and it never worked. So I was like, all right, so insanity is doing the same thing over and over.
That's right.
And expecting a different result. So let me try something that's completely different, the polar opposite of what I typically do, and see how it works. And once I committed to that, it was just a different world that I live in. And it makes sense why I would meet someone as amazing as Whitney.
Yeah.
Because she's a person that is so pure and selfless that if there was any bit of selfishness in me, and really when you think of walking by faith, as some would say, selfishness is what stops us, because we don't want to look stupid. Yeah. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't want. But when you stop caring what people think, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. And then just to be in that space too of the depths of that moment, to even be in that state of desperation, this is the only way out. I feel so I've done groups for the International Suicide Survivor conferences, and I wish people would talk more about this, of that moment, because I feel it's something people don't want to talk about, because it's we don't even want to know that state of desperation exists. But I feel if we did understand it a little more, we'd be more compassionate of each other, and also offering help.
Right.
Offering even just a space of non-judgment and openness, to know that we all have certain levels of trauma and pain that get us to this point of desperation where it's I can't do this anymore. I am tired of fighting.
Yes.
And in the episode with Whitney and I, we were talking about being in survivor mode all the time. That's exhausting.
Yes.
To being in this world and not having your basic needs taken care of. We shouldn't have to struggle to find food. We shouldn't have to struggle for job opportunity, or even to be seen as a person, to have offered opportunity.
Well, the idea of opportunities, I believe if we were to truly reverse engineer things and say, hey, let's start with children and find their natural passions, gifts, and abilities.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, this is what you're naturally gifted at. This is what you love doing. Here are the avenues that will allow you to accomplish that. Focus on that and only that. And set it up to where they don't have to worry about anything else. Families don't have to worry about anything else. Because if everyone is doing that thing that they're passionate about and love doing, you never have to make anyone do anything. You never have to incentivize anyone to do anything.
Yeah.
Because when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Absolutely. And then you get to actually see the true gifts of everybody.
Right.
Instead of all of us trying to conform to live this certain American dream.
Right. And then what would you see of the world if everyone is doing what they were naturally equipped to do?
Can you imagine love?
Oh, yes.
connection.
Absolutely.
Like, peace. Awesome. I love that. And like anybody in the community too, if you have, Christopher's a great influential speaker as well. So if you have a program where you need to advocate for suicide, advocate for children, advocate for just knowing or understanding possibilities beyond hardship, like Christopher A. Boozer is your man.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
you. Okay, so knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you have given yourself back then in that moment?
So in that moment, it was really a culmination of things that I experienced while I was growing up. I was, less than when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Then started doing things I wasn't supposed to at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
which resulted in me having a child at 15.
Yeah.
Finding out after 11 years she wasn't mine.
Oh.
And I took care of her. She lived with me, during that time.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about destroying your world, that's where I went into a depression. And it was, year 5 or 6 when I finally put the gun to my head. I thought about it throughout my life, but not having anyone to speak with or the shame associated with that, especially not just as a male, but as a male from the inner city.
Mm-hmm.
You don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, for lack of better terms, it was like there were demeaning terms associated with you. Oh, you're a punk.
Yeah.
Yeah. For expressing trauma.
Yeah.
So creating a safe, space where people can say, look, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not personalizing what happened. And that was one of the most liberating things for me.
Yeah.
Is when I reached the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
that same voice that said, look, you can always come back to killing yourself.
Yeah. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
When you were sharing your book with me.
Right.
When we were reading your
You
book.
can always come back to killing yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was something that my mother ended up saying to me as I called to say goodbye. And she doesn't remember saying that to this day.
Oh, wow.
But the next part of that was, okay, if I can come back to killing myself, why not go after everything? And if it doesn't work, then just end it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was playing with house money. I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And when it worked, instead of saying, oh, okay, next time I'll go all in, play with house money. If it doesn't, I'll kill myself. It's like, no, now there's an expectation. Like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
this works.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to study and focus on the process of why is this working? How is this working? Because I want to help other people to do the same thing in their lives when they are hopeless. And in my situation, there was no way possible that anyone could have pointed to a way it would work out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it happened the way it did, so that I can look at any person in any situation and they say, I don't know how it's going to work out. Good.
Yeah.
It will work out.
I'm so glad you say that, because in that moment of like where it's like, I don't even know the next step.
Right.
Like I can't see anything.
Right.
Like that's so scary for some people, especially when I'm like, I can't see anything and I'm hurting.
Right. Okay, so this is something that was so mind-blowing but so simple for me, right? We base everything off of what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch.
Mm-hmm.
Our senses, what we know.
Mm-hmm.
But everything we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, by the time we get it, it's the past.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never the present moment.
You're never in the present moment.
So when I go outside and be like, man, how am I going to get home? What do you mean, how are you going to get home? Go ahead and drive, hit the highway. Street. Well, but in 400 BC, these roads weren't here and the car wasn't here. And you're like, but that's the past.
Yeah.
So in the same way, all of these things that I was associating with myself were the past.
Mm-hmm.
So the key was to live in the present
Mm-hmm.
and be faithful with this moment, expecting that the next moment will come.
Yeah.
And once I decided to do that, I was like, okay. And it's scary at first.
Yeah.
But then as you start seeing everything sort of lay out in front of you, it's like the yellow brick road, or the best way I like to look at it, the old Michael Jackson video, was it Billie Jean, where he's walking and then the
floor starts to
lighting
create
up.
itself.
Yeah, so that's the way I look at life now. As you step, the next spot will be illuminated.
But you got to take the step.
But you got to step.
You can't stop.
Exactly.
And you can't go backwards.
And it's only going to be illuminated as you're walking.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to put it. Now, what would you do? What do you do to keep your mental, physical, and spiritual parts of you strong?
The one thing that I've learned and incorporated that has changed my world and is so simple, but the easy things to do are easy not to do. Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't meditate in the morning, I can tell in my day that things are
Yeah.
It's like I've submerged myself in the matrix and I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to be in here.
Yeah.
And then you try to get out of it and it's so much work, and it can be done, but setting the precedent, like at night, set my mindset because I'm about to go off into sleep.
Yeah.
In the morning when I first wake up, set my day because I'm waking up for sleep. So it's that momentum, it's that snowball effect. That's the way I look at it. So meditation is definitely a thing. Reading.
Oh yeah, I know you're a good reader.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so curious.
Yeah.
Because for so much of my life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? Coming from the inner city, there are options that are available to you that elicit fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care.
But that keeps you there too.
Yeah,
That's why
right.
some people don't grow out of that.
Exactly, but it's that fear,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of being different.
Mm-hmm.
I made a decision to be okay with being curious, with learning more, and saying, okay, well, what is it like over there? How is it? And I just did social experiments with myself, going to schools that are outside of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I went away to college, when I went away to grad school,
Mm-hmm.
things I went to a historically black college, and then I went to Kansas State for grad school. So 2 totally different environments. But I said, I want to expose myself to as much variety as possible so I can see what all is possible.
Yeah.
So just to, give myself a different way to look at life.
And that's what Whitney was saying too. It's like we have to leave our environments, and that's what I did too. When I was 18, I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
I'm going to Arizona. I can't do, I can't perpetuate all these things that are like killing me really slowly.
Right.
So by coming over here, it was hard because it's like I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends.
Right.
So it's just like I'm just taking that one step at a time, hoping
Yes.
that something's gonna catch me.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
But even the idea of saying it's hard, what's hard?
Mm-hmm. It's the unknown. Like how the nice thing is I had a job. That was one thing. I had a
Right.
job, had a place to stay,
Right.
but I didn't know what was the next step. And so that unknown is like, what does that look like? And that's why I created this podcast, is because I'm like, I want to bring more light into this space where it's the
Right.
transitional,
Yeah.
where we're so afraid to take that next step. So it's just like pause right there before that foot meets the earth and see what values are available here. Because whether we're aware of it or not,
Right.
there is information in that little space.
Absolutely.
And so if you're right before you're about to take that step, lead with confidence, lead with the open heart, lead with the open mind, knowing that you're on this path for a reason.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called purposeful transitions, because we're becoming more purposeful with that space.
Well, I'll say this to go along with everything you just said. The way we see it is scary is because it's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
But we're leaving the known.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're saying, I don't want the known. I want the unknown. It's scary. But if we, for instance, I think of music.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear the same song all the time, what are you going to get? Bored.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want something new, something different, something unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at life like a beautiful musical,
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
That's why traveling is so fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I may check out a couple of things that are there, but the experience is
And I'm
what
glad,
makes life.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you notice, that's what I do with the kids now. Like we
Beautiful.
travel all the time because I want them to get comfortable with not knowing that new place.
Yes.
How to travel, things
Yes.
like that. So, we've been to a lot of places: Hawaii, the Philippines, Mexico, so many states in the U.S.
Yeah.
And they love traveling now.
That's beautiful.
But I wanted to I didn't want to recycle that fear in them,
Yeah.
Because naturally we can do that with, practicing what we know, especially like in the environments we grew up in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so talking about transitional spaces, are you aware of your transitional spaces?
Now, if you were saying transitional spaces, give me a little more detail on what you're looking for.
So it's the space between your moments. So like when he was sharing, she went outside and she saw a hummingbird and she paused. And she was just like, oh, wow.
I can tell you the exact moment.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was like, please clarify. Because, well, April 1st, 1996, a friend of mine was murdered. And it's like 2 a.m. when I'm hearing this, and my buddy's like, hey, Booze, you know, he was murdered. And I said, man, don't play like that. And they were like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, look, I'll beat you. I was a different person at the time.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, Booze, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And I went into my room, and I was just like, we got to get these dudes, you know, just typical inner city mindset and perspective. Yeah. And I'm flustered and just hurt. I mean, that's really what it was, the pain. And I heard a voice say, lay back. And I said, how the F am I going to lay back? My homeboy just got killed. Yeah. I said, can you change it? And I said, no. He said, so just relax and lay back. As soon as I lay back, a bullet flew right where my head was, a stray bullet. So I wouldn't have been able to prepare for it. And then his funeral was on the day of my daughter's birthday, the daughter that I eventually found out wasn't mine. Yeah. And while I was at his funeral, I was accepted to Grambling State, but I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go. I don't know, you know, like the money, this and that and the third. And while I was there, found out that his dream was to go to Grambling. Wow. And I was like, oh man. And I heard, if you don't leave, your daughter's gonna be coming to your funeral. And I was like, I'm going. That's it, yeah. So that moment was the moment that I jumped from that child to this male that's on his journey to become a man. And I've had several spots along the way, like I said, November 23rd, 2009, when I put the gun to my head. But that was the moment that I was like, okay. But the reason it was so powerful was before that, I was on the mountain, South Mountain. I was 19, and I said, look, God, I don't know who you are. I said, if you show me who you are, I'll follow you to the ends of this earth. If you don't show me, I'm not doing anything. You know, and I got scared. Like, who am I talking? And you know Arizona summers, right? Yeah. Or this was, I felt the coolest breeze, and I was 18 at the time. I felt the coolest breeze come in the middle of the summer in the desert, the middle of the day. Yeah. Like a cold breeze. It was like, so now everywhere I go, when I feel that cold breeze, and it's not just, oh, you're out in Nebraska and the wind blows. No, it's specifically a breeze that'll rustle through the trees, like using the trees to talk to me, and then come and touch me, and I smile, and I'm like, okay, yeah, confirmation. Exactly. Yeah,
good for you. And that's what the transitional spaces are about, is like the universe is providing information to you. Are you listening? Yes. You know, and that can go into like the Aztec traditions too. Is like our ancestors are in nature and they communicate through nature. Yes. And we can like talk about all that. Like keep going.
I remember first hearing about tree huggers and people walking barefoot in grass. I'm like, oh, those people are so weird. But now, whether it's walking in grass barefoot, you know, being next to trees, you know, like touching a tree, sitting down, meditating outside, it's just. It truly is a connection that I'm like, you can't get anywhere else.
So true. Okay, what are the things you wish to share about what you're doing in the community?
Well, right now, I'm working with the Department of Public Safety, looking to affect change. One of the most tragic incidents that happened was the young man who was fatally shot by one of the DPS officers a couple of years ago on the highway. Deion Johnson. I was looking to do my part to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen again. Now, I don't know all, you know, the details. I tried to, you know, understand as much as possible. I did hear the report, did go through it with DPS, and you know, they laid out things and why charges weren't filed against the officer. But if we can develop a relationship with the law enforcement so that there is a familiarity that will present the comfort that all of us need, to not feel threatened,
Yeah.
to not feel insecure, to know this is what I can expect in this stop.
Yeah.
You know, and the officer to know this is what they can expect in this stop. Then we can increase the chance, the likelihood, the probability that people go home to their families safely on both ends. So that's something that I also do work in the schools, looking to help children who have insecurities, fears. They have those that have dreams, don't know how they want to do it, or don't know how they're going to do it, but know they want to. Yeah. Being able to give them the roadmap to say, hey, this is what you do, follow these steps, so that they understand that dream that they have is a reality, as long as they're brave enough to follow the uncharted path.
Yeah.
So working with youth, working with law enforcement, worked with Governor Ducey's division to create change in the state as well. So every opportunity that comes up, I do all that I can to leave it better than I found it.
God. And thank you for that too.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We need a lot of that.
Yeah.
And if you notice, you guys, that the trend that I have with this podcast is I'm really only interviewing those that are doing influential things in the community or aspire to do it. Just because it's part of my intention to bring more light into the work that we can do to help serve one another, to help heal one another, and to live our purpose. So thank you so much, Christopher, for doing that.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So lastly, what piece of advice would you share with our audience?
Okay. The very first thing that I'd say is you have one life to live. That thing that you always dreamed of doing, you aspired to do, I can make you a guarantee and a promise. If you don't pursue it on your deathbed, that's the thing that is going to irk you the most. And that is what regret is. Not taking a chance on yourself. If anyone has ever done it, you can do it also. So find that thing, go after it. There's a book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's a 1925 version. The 1925, I can go into detail as far as why, but the 1925 version is one that I teach a course in.
Okay.
But it's helping people to understand all you have to do is find that one thing you're passionate about, pursue it with all your heart. Don't worry about how it's going to happen, and get excited and be grateful for its arrival. Beautiful.
Thank you so much again. And thank you all for tuning in. Please follow Christopher. How could they reach out to you?
You can find me on Instagram at Move Your Dreams, MoveYourDreams. I can also be found on Facebook, Twitter, same handle. So, yeah. And my website is www.moveyourdreams.com.
Awesome. Until next time, everyone, be well. Immense gratitude to you all for tuning in today. It was a true honor to be here in this time and space with you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at erica@returntoyourself.org. I'm also on Instagram as Om Namaste. Don't forget to check out Pause, Shift, and Refresh, the 7 Arts of Establishing Harmonious Oneness, and my workbook, Becoming 2.3, allowing you to expand in the desires you wish to embrace. I wish you all a beautiful and vibrant day. Until next time, be well.